This CES coverage is sponsored by Richardson's Manchester. Call 0333 900 0086 for the best prices and expert advice for TVs, AV and Hi-Fi.
Hello everyone, Vincent Teo from HDTV Test here. I'm here at the MGM Grand behind closed doors at Panasonic's show booth for CES 2020. Now, normally I would be standing in front of the camera presenting, but I've lost my voice because of Las Vegas dry air and also trying to shout through a very loud crowd at other events. So here am I interviewing Mr. Paul Williams from Panasonic. Can you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hi Vincent, and can I say I'm delighted to finally achieve my dream of appearing on HDTV Test and a YouTube channel. And also my name is Paul Williams from the Corporate Marketing Division in Japan.
So yesterday you introduced the new HZ2000 OLED television at another event. Can you please explain the theme that you're trying to achieve this year?
Sure. So the theme is that we want to bring more Hollywood to more homes, by which we mean last year we brought our HDR10 and Dolby Vision all the way down the lineup to the GX800 to a core model, and this year we're trying to expand that to make it easier for people who watch content in bright rooms to also enjoy really good Hollywood level picture performance by incorporating filmmaker mode of intelligent sensing and also Dolby Vision IQ, both of which use the ambient sensor intelligently together with some analysis of the content coming in order to create a good perceptual match for how it would look inside a dark room, even if you're in a brighter room. So that's what our big aim for this year.
Can you please expand a bit on the filmmaker mode with intelligent sensing and also the Dolby Vision IQ in terms of what you're actually doing to the video signal?
Yeah, so filmmaker mode of intelligent sensing, what it does is it uses the ambient light sensor to sense the amount of light in the room, but at the same time the HDX processor is also reading the content itself, it's measuring the brightness, and then intelligently it's adjusting the gamma curve and it's adjusting some of the other settings in order to optimize it, so that perceptually when you see it in a lighter room it's going to match how you would have seen it in a darker room. And this is the same for Dolby Vision IQ as well. They basically do the same thing, but filmmaker mode with intelligent sensing works for HDR10, HDR10 Plus, HLG, SDR, whereas Dolby Vision IQ works for Dolby Vision content. So by having both of these modes, we're covering all of the content. So consumers, they can be confident that if they have the HZ2000, it doesn't matter what content they're watching, from what type of source, in any type of a view room or light environment, they're going to get a really, really good picture quality without having to do an awful lot of changing the settings themselves.
Now, when colorists grade a piece of content in their grading suite, it is usually a darkened environment, and I think most video enthusiasts would agree with me that a reference level condition like that is required to get the best picture quality, and now you're trying to optimize it for the bright room. How can you achieve that sort of reference level quality there?
In the bright room?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we worked, not just ourselves in Japan, but we worked with two major studios in Hollywood with a number of different people in order to try and make sure that the creators, we use their voice in terms of setting the optimization. So we think that it's probably as close a perceptual match that you can get in a brighter room than any other format of doing it. So I think we've done the hard yards in making sure that we've included Hollywood's voice to make sure that it's, we think, pretty close.
You clearly have a very close relationship with the creative community, and I think you have acquiesced to some of their requests for certain tone mapping options and also calibration controls. Can you expand upon that?
Yeah, of course. So our GZ2000 and all of our other OLED models, in fact, have been quite widely used in the post-production houses and in the studios in order to, as part of the creative process. I think the biggest single request we've had for a long time now is to enable hard clipping. Because, of course, all the manufacturers tone map in a different way. There's no standards to that. So by enabling hard clipping, it means that you can turn the tone mapping off and it clips at the native brightness of the panel. So therefore, you are getting the creatives of seeing exactly an accurate portrayal. So that's number one. And also number two, we've also introduced some new calibration points at 0.5 and also 1.3%. That's in addition to the lowest which we had previously of 2.5 and so on. So by implementing these new calibration points right at the low end, we're making that roll off from black to just above black on an OLED really, really perfect. Or you can get it really, really perfect, which is of course what we want to do.
Certainly, allowing more points to be touched up down below is going to contribute to a good experience. Now, what would you say are the unique selling points of Panasonic OLEDs versus OLEDs from your competitors?
No, it's 100% accuracy. We've spent years, working, because we have two things. First of all, is we have the HDX processor, so it's packed full of, our know-how from 30, 40 years of making televisions, and it allows the accuracy, the technical accuracy that you need. And then on top of that, we work with people like Stefan Sonnenfeld from Company 3, one of the top colorists, to make sure that the technical accuracy is matched by the curator's eye. And by combining those two things, I think uniquely we're able to deliver, as close as possible to a mastering monitor. And that's why, again, I know that our sets are being used so widely in the post-production and in studios as part of the creative process.
Another unique selling point, in my opinion, would be your custom Pro panel.
Exactly.
Is there any difference to the one implemented on last year's GZ2000?
We're using the latest generation panel, but basically, what we're doing is the same. So we're managing the way the heat is sucked off the back of it, which allows us a bit more headroom to go higher. So actually, on average, we have a 20% higher peak and also a 20% higher average brightness as well, which proves that, until now maybe all OLED panels are the same, but for the first time, there's a real choice for consumers who really want the very, very best. I think the HZ2000, like its predecessor, the GZ2000, really offers us something different in terms of brightness and what OLEDs can actually deliver. And especially for HDR, I think that makes a big difference.
What HDMI 2.1 features are you supporting on the Panasonic HZ2000?
So last year we started supporting ALLM, but from this year we're also going to support eARC, so audio return channel. So we think that's also going to make a big improvement for people who want to combine with soundbars and so on.
Is there any plan to support variable refresh rate FreeSync for the gamers out there?
I think we're going to keep watching the market and seeing when there's going to be real need for that. But yeah, we're always thinking about how we can deliver what customers want and what you want, Vincent, in particular.
At this CES, some of your OLED competitors have implemented variable intensity blacklight insertion or 120 Hz blacklight insertion. Is that available on the HZ2000?
Yes. But we've made some custom improvements to it, which I don't think anybody else has done. So, with black frame insertion, sometimes it can start making the picture look a bit dark. But actually, we adjust the length of the black frame itself according to the type of content that's coming in order to hit the sweet spot, which means that you're getting, really, really smooth motion, but without some of the darkening that you might normally expect. So I think you have to try it, you have to see it yourself, but I think it works pretty well.
Certainly, I look forward to testing that. Let's expand a bit about the sound system on the HZ2000. Now, I think when I reviewed the GZ2000, I was certainly initially underwhelmed by the soundbar, but eventually you issued a firmware update which improved the bass response and also resolved the crackling issue. Have there been further tweaks to the HZ2000 in that respect?
Yes, we're always tweaking and trying to improve what we're doing. And so we've worked with our Technics colleagues in order to make sure that it's really getting the most out of the system. So I think that customers will see a real improvement in terms of the sound quality and the immersive effect that you get out of it. And I think, just to reiterate, the fact that we're incorporating these upward-firing speakers at the top of the television, in particular, is very important because it's that much closer to the ceiling, and the way that the surround sound works is that you're bouncing the sound off the ceiling. So the closer you get to it, the more energy the sound has when it's bouncing off the top. So it's still to create that real ambient sound, and I think it makes a difference. Whereas most, I think, other manufacturers tend to use sound bars, which are kind of fairly lowly placed. Positioning it at the top of the screen, I think, makes a really, really big difference.
Certainly, because I believe in blind testing these days. Earlier, I had the opportunity to close my eyes and indicated whether the upfiring speakers was working or not, and certainly I could 100% accurately tell that the upfiring speakers was giving a more immersive overhead effect to the whole sound experience. Having said that, I think there is a lot of demand among video enthusiasts for a custom Pro panel without the integrated speaker bar, because realistically speaking, someone who buys a high-end television is very likely to have their own sound solution already. Do you have any comment on that?
And what we found over the last year is that actually the HZ2000 was a great success, and we also thought that maybe people who were buying the high end would also have a built-in sound system. But sales have been really good, which is why we're continuing the same kind of sound layout this year as well. So what we're announcing here in Las Vegas is the HZ2000, and then everything else is going to come when we make subsequent announcements in February.
I know you're not going to say the answer for me, but will there be 48-inch or 77-inch models in your 2020 lineup?
We'll have to wait till February.
Typical. Anyway, thank you very much, Paul, for speaking to us, and I hope our viewers enjoy this interview with Paul Williams of Panasonic, and I think he did extremely well for his first time.
Thank you for making my dreams come true, Vincent.
Thank you, Paul. Have a good show.